Welcome to another edition of EFNL Insight. We are well and truly into the second half of the 2025 season. A lot to get to tonight. I'm Media Manager Ryan Long with Blake Tennant in the studios, who's come off a cameo game at Forest Hill and potentially might even be backing it up this week. Great to have you back in for another episode.
Yeah, good to be here. G'day listeners and people watching on the streams of YouTube of your own home. It's great to be again talking EFNL footy and managed to play a game, sneak in, just down at Forest Hill. Played against Churnside Park on the weekend. It was an interesting battle, but the body pulled up well this week.
You were a bit worried about your hamstrings, how that was going to go. And you played the full game, played in the ruck?
Played ruck all game. I didn't expect it, to be honest, but pushed through at the end. Just recovering because I've got a big game this week against the top of the ladder team in Warrandyte.
So another big weekend for you. I'm sure you're off to training after this. We are filming this on a Thursday night. So
I'll be down.
I'm sure you're getting ready to go against in the best last weekend.
Yeah,
so
I don't know about that. Maybe it's a typo.
Oh, I think you might be right. I think it might be a typo just from my sources who are down at the ground.
Typo. Chat GPT might have done that, probably.
A lot to get to, of course. We've got the Furnace back. We've got a couple of sides on notice. You said you teased this last week that there were some sides that you were thinking about putting in, and you have a few sides in name, and I have heard these sides, so a lot to discuss in that one.
So, I really wanted to harp on. I feel like I've been a little bit down, it's like a raging pool at the moment, so be prepared, listeners, down the track as well.
Okay, keep an eye on that one. That will be a little bit later on in the show. We're going to start with what happened on the weekend, because we were out at a big Premier Division senior men's game out at East Ringwood Reserve, and it was the Hawks who defeated East Ringwood for the first, or gave East Ringwood their first loss of the season, 13-10-88 to East Ringwood 8-11-59. Lockie McDonald was absolutely sensational. He had the 31 disposals, had 20 disposals in the second half too, Blake. He was fantastic. Matty Davey popped up and kicked 3, so did Evans for East Ringwood. Hannon Mundy had a really solid game with the 21 disposals and an impressive performance. But it was the Hawks, and particularly in that second half, they really got away from East Ringwood. You go to the second term, the Roos certainly had more scoring shots, missed a few opportunities. But in the second half, some of these statistics for you, Blake, Rowville had 74 more disposals than East Ringwood, 23 more clearances, 15 more inside 50s, and 13 more marks in that second half. And as I mentioned, Lockie McDonald had 10 disposals in each of the third and fourth quarters, where they really got in control in that midfield battle. And without Tuvey there for East Ringwood going out of the side, Downey's out at VFL, obviously no Belo. Rowville made the most of that opportunity in the middle. Pretty
much destroyed the whole midfield brigade down there at East Ringwood as well. I mentioned some big names down there, so that's a big win for Rowville. I believe coming into this Saturday's game, I think East Ringwood won the last 3 or 4 against Rowville, so that's a big win by Rowville, especially with the outs and just the unknown factor with this game, because I thought East Ringwood would win this. A little bit maybe between the 4 or 5 goal mark. So, but still, Rowville just flexing their muscles. They're going to lose a few, obviously, in unavailability. So, I think this is, been apart from, you would say, the 2023 Premiership, this has to be up there as one of Ben Wise's greatest wins down at Rowville.
Yeah, and absolutely. We talked about this. We talked a lot about East Ringwood's, their outs coming into that game. Rowville do have their outs as well. Guys like, obviously, Lockie Wine, Mav Taylor, so some of their forward power too. Cooper McDonald came back into the side, but only played a portion of the game. So both sides weren't at full strength. We saw a little glimpses of East Ringwood at stages, but it's their first loss of the season. They won't be too concerned about that. They've still had a fantastic year thus far and still look to be the benchmark. But Rowville, at their best, we've said this a couple of times over the last couple of years, at their best they can challenge anyone and potentially could win it. So we've got a really good competition, I think, in Premier Division this year.
Yeah, no, definitely true. And, ever since that Berwick game where Rowville lost all of a sudden, and they've really hit some form after that. So would have put them on notice, Rowville, to harden up and lift up your game, and that's a big win by them.
Yeah.
Especially the last 2 weeks has been sensational at the moment.
And the other 2 sides in the top 4, and it's breaking away now, that top 4 in Premier Division, and there's a bit of a gap between the top 4 and then Doncaster East and Vermont, and now Noble Park.
Noble Park, haven't they shot up the ladder as well?
Yeah, they have.
That 2 or 3 in a row?
I think it's 2, I believe. They were very competitive against Baldwin on King's birthday weekend, and we're right in that game.
Can you make a case for him or no? Imagine if they make finals, so that will be...
Oh, it'll be a big story with the turnover they've had on their list.
Probably their 5 most important players coming out of that side.
I still don't think they'll make the finals. I think
they could shape up like the...
They can.
Like, they can honestly, let's just say they beat a Blackburn or East Ringwood or even a Rowville. Noble Park have Rowville this week, so they could shape up the division, I reckon.
And I guess... The only thing, Vermont and Doncaster East have not been convincing at times. They've looked all right in patches, but have given up games where you thought potentially they might win that. That Vermont South Croydon one's probably the perfect example of that. We've all probably penciled in Vermont winning that game with some of their guys coming back into that contest. So they're still in the hunt. But Blackburn and Baldwin play each other this weekend, so that's a big game.
A revenge game for Baldwin, you would say, after they got really... would say
on Good Friday.
Yeah, Good Friday. So revenge game for Baldwin. That'll be a big game down at Tigerland.
Yeah, that is an important one. Premier Division is quite interesting. A bit more on that a little bit later because we also had the women's match of the round on Saturday morning. And out at Walker Park, it was an upset in Division 3. Mitchum defeating Ferntree Gully 6-7-43 to the Eagles 5-5-35. Georgia Fairbairn kicked the 3 goals for the Tigers. Evelyn Bamford kicked 2 goals, including one of the, if we had a goal today in that in the senior women's broadcast, she'd certainly have that fantastic one. Check that out on the Instagram. Jess Grace hit the scoreboard as well and was... the
Hoyt's Best on Ground?
Yes, the Hoyts Eastland Best on Ground award winner. And
she'll have a couple as well, by the way.
Well, she would have probably been best on in previous years, but this is the first season we've had this award, so there's probably
netball awards. So
yes, Eastland. So. Yeah, she's certainly probably familiar with Eastland with some of the vouchers.
As a sponsor, probably Jess Grace, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely, and we did hear from Jess Grace after the game with the Tigers' 8-point win.
Well, how are you? A terrific game. Congratulations and a stellar performance from yourself.
Thanks, guys. It's a bunch of hard work put in over the last couple of weeks, finally paying off. So, good win by the girls.
And it's been, at times, a bit of a tough start to the season, but your last 4 weeks, you're 2-2, and you're building some nice form. How big is this win for your season?
Yeah, it's massive. I think the group has always had a fair bit of belief between ourselves, and we've been working so hard over the last couple of weeks, and girls are starting to shine and really play their roles. So everyone stood up across the board, and this is what a team win looks like.
So it's fantastic to hear from Jess after the Tigers' big victory. And what it does with the ladder, Blake, they're still a long way behind because their percentage is basically another game. But it does make this week interesting because if the results go their way, if Mitchum beat the Eastern Devils, and depending on what happens with Coldstream, Ferntree Gully, and then South Croydon Red and North Ringwood Red, could be on level points with those 2 sides. So... Yeah. Just keeping the door open.
They are after disappointing loss to Churnside Park as well. So Tigers, I think ever since then, I think they're on a streak as well. So they're playing some good footy. The Tigers and Ferntree Gully, it was kind of like a game where I thought they got them out of the game. Really, just to lose that one, an important game. Just due to the season. So Ferntree Gully will look to hopefully bounce back and win the next game, of course.
Yeah, they've got a big one against Coldstream. At home at Wally 2 Reserve, they had some players out of the side, including Nash Hilda, and I'd be very interested to see. I think they were very competitive against Coldstream out at Coldstream Reserve earlier on in the season. Give them a bit of a chance there as a potential upset. But in saying that, Coldstream have been flying alongside Heathmont, and although we won't get to broadcast the Heathmont game, I'll be out at HE Parker for the senior men's match of the round. So
you're going to pop down earlier?
Well, it's actually after. They're playing a twilight game.
Twilight game.
So I will hang around. First chance just to probably see them live this year. And aren't they flying this season? But we'll certainly see more of that when Heathmont and Coldstream play later on in the year. Win of the week. This is our positive segment.
Yes.
Time, a bit of a chance to shine some light on a side that was impressive across the weekend. Can be through either senior men's or women's competitions. I've got one for, we talked about this on Female Footy Focus.
I think I know where you're heading.
Is this your pick or is this...
No, I want to, how I want to do it is I want to do, honourable wins, and then we'll have our win of the week.
Okay, go for it. What do you got as an honourable win?
An honourable win, I think I'll start off in Premier. Can I do each division if that's all right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I think Noble Park beating South Croydon.
Yep.
That has to be up there as well. The Tigers, Mitchum, getting their first win. You said it the other day, 1,000...
longer than 1,000 days. I haven't got it in front of me. I'll get it for it, but it is a long time since their last win in Premier Division.
Beaconsfield beating North Ringwood as well by one point. It's never easy on a Quamby reserve, so that's a big one there. But I think my win of the week, if I had to pick one, Park Orchards beating South Belgrave.
In the senior women's competition.
That was a big one. Just to where both teams are. Park Orchards coming into the competition, we asked them at the start, didn't we? Can they rise up the ladder and see how far they can go? But that's mine. What's yours? Did you have one?
Well, I actually probably would have gone with the Park Orchards one as well in the senior women's comp. I think with how impressive South Belgrave have been, they're undefeated going into that clash. They'd beaten everyone at least once, but the Devils twice. Looked almost not unbeatable, but they were certainly starting to really dominate in that division. So to see Park Orchards find a way to not just hold it. We saw early in the season where they hit the lead at half-time and were impressive and then got overrun. Yeah. They were able to run this game out and away from home to 2:30 out at South Belgrave Recreation Reserve. Big win for them, and I think we can't credit them enough as coming up a division, how hard it is from the jump from 1 to Prem. Not only do I think they're going to play finals now, I think they can win it. Yeah. And
I said that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I certainly didn't think that at the start of the season. I thought to obviously in a competition that's probably been dominated by two sides in the Devils and South Croydon, we've got a wide open race this year, which we love.
Yeah, definitely. And you said senior women's. Can we just go quickly, just for a men's point of view win, if you got one?
My senior men's one would probably be the Mitchum Berwick game, which you mentioned, and I've got the number for you. You're well off with 1,000. It was 6,896 days ago. I can even tell you the game. It was in 2006, round 14 against East Burwood, our East Burwood Reserve. We've actually got some vision up on the screen now from that game. Thanks to Slattery21 on YouTube for having this game. I couldn't believe it was. I actually was just doing a bit of research on YouTube and found that link and thought, wow, that's the last time. And I double checked. That is the last time they had won a game in the top flight of the competition. And now here's some footage from Saturday's game against Berwick. And for a side that is a very famous club in the league, to get back to the top flight of football was a big story last season with their back-to-back flags, and needed a win too, because this is coming off a 138-point loss to Rowville, where there would have been some, it would have been really disappointing the way they performed at home against. I know it's a very good side in Rowville, but losing by 138 points is quite significant. So to be able to bounce back and really with season on the line in terms of if they had lost that one, it would have been pretty much just about it.
They'll come down a division as well. It's good to see you're on the Tigers bandwagon, of course. But that's a big win for Mitchum, and the climax of their season as well. So, but that round 18 battle down there when Flack Reserve could dictate as well who's going to be coming down to first division as well. So it's going to be a great contest down there. So well done to Mitchum as well, but. Again, you can't just, have the premiership reunion and think, that can get you over the line. You have to continually do that as well. So, well done to Mitchum, but still a lot of work to do if they want to, keep himself alive in Premier.
Well, they've got obviously.
The thing also, so before you
Yep.
go, they're going to have Noble Park at home because obviously they played them earlier on the
Yep.
year at the Bull Ring. I think they won't have South Croydon at home. I don't
No,
think.
South Croydon will be at Cheong.
Yep, they'll be at Cheong. So maybe
They've got Doncaster East at home, Walker Park. They probably should have beat the Lions the first time.
Yeah.
There are winnable games for them.
And they've got
Berwick are in the
Vermont as well, who is
Yes.
struggling too. And remember that broadcast
Yeah,
game.
round one.
Then, that'll be a good game. Can we just quickly mention that as
Yeah,
well? Vermont Past Players Day
Yep.
as well, and probably the two biggest clubs as well in the
Vermont
league.
and Mitchum.
Yep.
Yep.
So
And
that's at Vermont Recreation Reserve.
And that round one game, which we were out at Walker Park, was the most watched live stream we've had for a home and away game.
There you go. Since
yeah.
LKL Media, is
I think
that?
just in general.
Yeah.
Just over the.
So
over the
even
years.
over grand finals, or
No, sorry, just in home
just
and away. Home and away.
Okay.
It was. I think it's up to past 5,000 views
There you
on
go.
YouTube, which is
Well, I
fantastic.
was one of them in my hotel room. I don't know where I was at the
Did
time.
you stay for the full game?
No.
Where Wiedemann in that last quarter,
No,
so
it
you would
was-
have went to bed thinking Mitchum had won that game.
I did. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Wiedemann 7 goals and
Yeah.
and that sealer from
What
the boundary.
was it? It was the 13th of April. I reckon it would have been New York. There you go.
There you go, watching the Eagles and the Tigers. You won't be there in New York this week
No.
as they play, but that is a big game out of Vermont Recreation
So if you're
Reserve.
around the grounds, I can do some advertising for the people watching. They don't have to pay me Vermont, but if you're around the ground and if you're an old Vermont supporter or a Mitchum supporter back in the day, get down. It's a big day, big past plays day. Our own Wayne Brasher will be down there as well, I hope, unless he's working with us. So if Brasher's listening, we do hope you're with us, but I know you love...
I think he does have other plans on Saturday, but
okay.
he'll certainly be keeping an eye on that
Yeah,
one.
so if you're around, get down to Vermont Recreation Reserve for a big game against the Tigers in Mitcham. So big game, and that's it.
Okay, we did the positives, and you want to just tear it all apart with the negatives of the weekend. The furnace segment, you've had a couple of weeks off this.
I have.
Well,
we had our mid-season record.
Of course, yep.
Yep, so...
Recap for those listening at home who haven't seen the furnace or they're watching on for the first
I
time.
want to know what the furnace is, do they?
Just give us a quick explanation of what it is.
Pretty much sides in the competition. Is it 46 or 47? That's a question I've got for you, for the top of your head.
There's 46 senior men's side
go.
this year,
46 senior men's side, and
I think.
there's a couple, I think there's more than 10 senior women's sides too. I don't have the sheet in front of me, so...
Yes.
But I know there's a lot. So there's a lot of participation in this league. But I'm just saying it out here. If you're listening on, it's a team that's under pressure heading into this week. So, but there's going to be one team. I'm not putting it on their losses. I'm just putting it in there for a statement. I'm not having a go at this team, this particular team, but it's just I'm asking for a statement win. So just So that
we'll leave them to last because I've been told ahead of time who you've put in the furnace this week. Who's in there at the moment? Is anyone in there, or are you taking everyone else out and you put in? I know you've got three to come in.
I think I've got 3 new teams.
Yep.
I think we're done with Coldstream. I think we know what's going on down there. So
you don't need to keep.
We know that they're having a struggle year, so they're out. So there, Heathmont, I'm actually back on them at this stage, and you can tell Scotty Hamill on Saturday afternoon that I'm back on. So they had a big win against Templestowe. Montrose have gone out. I feel like the pressure's not really on the Demons at this stage. I feel like, I don't know how you feel. Do you feel the pressure's on them, or?
I don't know.
You can have input if you want.
I don't think they're... I think you had higher expectations on Montrose than what I did, so they're sitting where I thought they would with the 6. I'm not fussed either way.
And I think that's pretty much it as well. I think Mitchum, yeah, they can have a week off.
Okay, with the win, they can relieve.
Yep. So we've got 3 new sides in, Ryan.
Hit me.
So first one, Bayswater.
You were at that game on Saturday.
I was at that game, and I think they need to regroup and they need to keep going and playing some better standard of football because their results haven't been great. I know they beat Beaconsfield at Beaconsfield. Yes, you can have that one, but They need to fix themselves up. Number 2, Ferntree Gully.
Now, you had high expectations of Ferntree Gully, and you were expecting them to beat Upper Gully on the weekend.
I did.
And they got pummeled.
They got more than that. They got embarrassed. That's the word I could use. But against your neighbours down the road as well, which it's a side that you did smash as well. I think they did smash them last time. In round 2. So, Ferntree Gully been very disappointing this year. They should be in that 5th spot. And, I did say a few things about Upper Gully, but I think are we playing finals this year? I'll take back what I said as well. So if you listen to that, I'm sorry. But Ferntree Gully just been really bad. They're too relying on their 2 stars. I actually haven't been to any Ferntree Gully games this year. And I know it's just been, they're heavily relying on Stevenson, obviously Jesse Smythe. They're the 2 front runners, of course, but I just haven't been happy with how they're tracking. I think they should be in that 5th spot. Quite frankly, they've got the talent there. Yeah. They're just not putting their results together. That's how I feel. How do you feel, Ferntree Gully?
I think we've got to remember how many players they lost last year too.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, and good players. Yeah, they lost their best and fairest winner in Jordan Church,
Braden Wright, the ruckman.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Kaika,
Ethan Kaika.
Absolute star. Is playing well at Wanty South in Divi 2. There's a lot of players that left and. It's yes, they've got some players in. I think their depth struggles and they do rely on those top few players. And potentially I thought they would do a lot better than what they have so far.
Yeah. Well, they need to get going because it's round 11 or 12, is that correct?
Yeah, for
Division 3.
Yeah, Division 3, it's now round 12.
There you go.
So
round 12.
I don't think they're playing finals. I don't think
they definitely can shake it up, I reckon, if they can get a few scalps here and there. I'll just quickly get up. What's their next? Have you got their fixture going?
Yeah. So, at the moment, they're 2 games behind the Basin in 5th. And their
doesn't
next...
get hard. They've got Knox.
Knox, Donvale, and Coldstream's your next 3.
Jeez. Yeah.
I think they probably win 1 of the 3.
Yeah. So they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, this side here.
This is where we'll disagree with it, but that's good.
I'm going to put them in there now. I feel like I've been a little bit too nice on them. That's how I just feel. And yes, they've won the back-to-back premierships in 3 and 4. Now, this is you're going to have a debate about this. I know. But I'm going to put Surrey Park in there. All right. Now, it's a hard one to adjust. Yes, I know. I feel like I've been very nice with them and all that. But I'm just asking for a statement. I'm not having a go at the team, not having, and all that at the club, but all they're doing terrific things. I'm just asking for a statement. 2 weeks is max. They're going to be in that furnace. I just think that loss against Montana South really put them back now, because if you have a look at that ladder now, obviously they're a game behind, but they got Ringwood this week, of course, but they've got a big day, and then they've got Croydon, who Croydon did get them last time. So they'll be in there for 2 weeks max. I'm not having a go at them. Definitely. So
why? Okay. Anything more? Because I've got a couple of things. Is there anything else you want to add on them?
That's it.
That's it.
Just a statement. I'm not having a go at them. I'm just putting it out there. They're on notice.
I find that I just don't understand quite, because the furnace sides that are under a bit of pressure, under the pump. Yeah. Surrey Park are not in this boat.
I know they're not, but I'm just putting notice on them.
Well, here's some stats, and we've got this up on the screen at the moment.
Jeez, you've done your homework.
We have. You can have a look through here. I've got in printed copies. This is where they rank in some of the key stats. Contested possessions, they're ranked 2. Inside 50s ranked 2. So creating plenty of opportunities. Marks ranked 1. Disposals, they're a high disposal side, and that's going to play a part in the player ranking points on Premier Data, which is not as important.
No.
Clearances ranked 4, points 4 and against 4th and 5th. That's not bad for a side that's coming up into a new Division 2. This is, of course.
I'm not having a go at it. That's just. I feel like that's the way you're.
But you are a little bit when you put him under the spotlight in this segment, which is part of it. So that's why it's open to discussion now.
Yes.
They're 7-3.
I know they're 7-3. Yes.
They beat Montana South round 1.
Yeah, but Montana South, things have changed since round 1. That's all I'm just saying. And
Didn't have Tom Smith on the weekend.
yeah, but that just comes down to their depth, mate. And I know their 19s are flying and their reserves, but I asked the question during the week: are these players that are coming up from the 19s or reserves ready for senior football? That's just my question.
The depth question is a big tick for Surrey Park. They're sitting on top of the ladder in the reserves.
I know, yes.
19s have been
but you can be
fantastic over the years.
You can be good reserve players. You can do that. But are they ready to take that next step into the senior side?
Well, I think some of them are with the way they're going. I feel like you're basing it off the final margin of 42 points, and I think Wanturna South. I think the biggest story of the week, and this was, I think that margin got down to about 9 points in the early stages of the fourth quarter before Wanturna South kicked away. I think the biggest story that came out of that is just where Wanturna South are headed at the moment and how strong they've been this season. I don't think, Surrey Park, they've won 2 flags in a row to get to Division 2. But to be sitting third, I think is fantastic.
It is. I'm really happy with that. And I'm not having a go at where they are on the ladder. I just think they've got important.
What do you want from them?
Well, I want to
see them do?
I want to see thumping. I want to see 2 thumpings in a row. That's all I just want to see. I want to see a 50-point win this week against Ringwood, and then I want to see a response. Because remember, Croydon beat Surrey Park as well, by the way.
They did earlier on in the season. That was their worst performance of the year, I think.
Yeah. I thought last week was pretty 41 points.
42 points with some
and
some
also
key
the
players out of the
Templestowe
side.
game was pretty bad as well. Like, I know they had a few out. But like I said, I'm not having a go. I'm not having a go at Surrey Park here. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying I just want better performances. And I know they're 7-3. And they're probably laughing at me right now, but that's fine. I can take that. But I'm just putting it on them early stages.
What do you think Shrimpy would say?
Who's this?
Kenworthy.
Oh, you have a smile on his face. He loves to smile. I think he will be where you are at the moment, but I sort of disagree with that.
And our old mate who's
Josh well, he already did to me during the week, so it's all right. 2 people from that club.
You've
How
gone.
many more have I gone? How many more to go?
You've gone more tamer on here than what you were in the group chat privately during the week. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I'm happy to go into the community of the EFNL if I really have to.
Well,
they've only got 2 people. Where's the other people?
There's a lot of people at Surrey Park. Paolini, you get along with Paolini very well.
I do.
Maybe not anymore, but yeah, I think you've done. I think you've. I don't know. I just think they're flying at the moment.
I think they are flying. Yes, they are. But I just want to put them on if they want to be a premiership threat. At the moment, I don't see it as them being a premiership threat. And it'll be amazing, though, if they can pull through to another grand final.
If they, make a prelim is incredible. Making the finals after 2 years ago, they were in Division 4, hadn't won a flag. They're now playing in Division 2 with what they probably should finish with the double chance.
Yeah. No, they're doing really well. I'm just saying. It's on notice. It's on notice, mate.
Okay,
well, on notice.
I
James, if you're listening, Josh, if you're listening, I know Josh will be listening because it's about his side, and I know he loves his side, and he's very passionate about his side, and he's also protective of his side. But feel free. Instagram, if you can, put it up there.
What is your Instagram? We can get this up on the screen.
Blake Tennant 15.
Okay, so any other clubs as well as Upper Ferntree Gully if you want to get stuck into Blake.
By Facebook names, just Blake Tennant. Just
very easy to find. You can find him at Forest Hill on Saturday at 12:30 if you really want to see him.
Can I just say
face to face?
There was a supporter on the weekend and made fun of my headband. I wore a headband on the weekend. You don't have vision of it, thank God. That's good.
We do, and this is some of the vision from from the game. There you are in the ruck. Didn't quite win that battle, but and then a photo as well with your headband. Who I told you I had people out at the ground.
How many did you have?
I had a few spies out there.
How many?
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
And, all your mates down there as well, I'm sure. But gave away a 25-metre penalty, I hear.
That was stiff.
Which...
Ball slipped out of my hand. What else was I meant to do?
Okay. Oh, all right. I've heard that plenty of times.
Anyway, let's move on for this.
All right. So that is...
If you're down, get down to Warrandyte as well.
Yes. Not for you, but for the game itself.
Yeah, if you want.
All right, that's it.
That's the Furnace. Yep.
That's the Furnace done. We'll move on to now this weekend. Big game out for the Eastland match of the round at HE Park Reserve between Heathmont and Croydon.
Yep.
This now becomes a game that's got a lot on the riding on it because Heathmont are now 4 out of 5. They were 1 and 5, and now they are potentially a win away from jumping into the top 5. What do you make of this Jet season? It's been a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it here, but there's it's an old cliche saying. It's called swings and roundabouts. Now that's what I thought Heathmont season has been like this year. They're sort of it's hard to say. Like, I'm going to ask you the question now, Ryan. If Heathmont beat Croydon, are the Jets back?
Depends on how they play. I'd probably have to wait. Are they back in terms of can they play finals? Yes. Are they backing towards? Are they the premiership threat that we thought at the start of the season? Not yet.
I still reckon if they can qualify, they'll make a massive shape up to the division.
Well, going back on this was probably the other contender for a win of the week that Heathmont knocking off Templestowe.
I was going to put
at
in there, but
Reserve.
I was wasting so much time. So.
That's okay. But they are, I think, they're one side that we're going to keep an eye on, and we rode them hard when they were 1 and 5.
It'll be interesting talk with Scotty Hamill this week.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they had a list that looked like it was ready. With all these players coming back, they recruit well. They got Appleby down to the club, and they've actually performed better.
He hasn't played in the last couple of weeks, has he?
Won a couple of games. Not that obviously that's not why they're winning, but they have just started to find some form. They have lost some players. Mullington Hughes been massive for them this year. I mean, we talk about Jordan Haynes, the skipper, just is as reliable as you get every single week. But then Bajramov is starting to play some more footy this year. They have had a lot of injuries, and this has been the theme of over the last few years. But there is enough talent on this list that they should be a final side. Now looking a little bit more like a final side recently. So they're one side of the story. Croydon's the other. Croydon themselves, they were disappointing the first 2 weeks of the season. Since then, I think they've won 5 out of the next 8 games, and look like they're not a high-scoring side, and the weather might suit them on Saturday, and this might be a bit of a slog, and Croydon won't mind that. Defensively quite strong.
Fraser Smith down there, he'll have a bit to say, I reckon.
Had 34 or 31 disposal. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but 14 marks and was just massive in that 2-point win over Lilydale last week. The Blues are sitting 4th, and I just think I'll go back to your Furnace thing again. Why is Surrey Park under the pump when all these sides below them in Div 2 and not in the Furnace? Sorry to jump back to this.
No, I'm like I said, Ron, I'm not having a go at them. I'm just putting the fire on them because I just want another big result.
What about Mulgrave? Would Mulgrave been a better choice for that? Because
they had a good win on the weekend.
They won on the weekend by 10 points.
But they've been,
they lost to the contenders in the 3 previous
maybe
weeks.
One more week, but they could be back. They could be in the Furnace. So
you're not just settling scores with Wardy, are you?
No, I'm not like that. No, definitely not.
Okay,
but it should be an exciting day as well. Got our Deakin University game. What we
Baronia versus Vermont out at Tormore Reserve.
That'll be an alright game down there.
It will, and they had a really interesting game earlier on in the season where the Eagles pushed them.
Down to that one, or
I won't be calling it, but I probably will.
You like going down to Miller's Reserve?
It's at Tormore actually.
Oh, Tormore, even better. You love going down there, don't
you? No rooms there at the moment. I'm not sure.
The Porties probably.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. I don't know. I haven't been down there.
Should be an exciting day down there.
Hawks need a win too to keep up with the top 4.
Disappointing loss last week to South Croydon, so they would want to bounce back. So it'd be a good game. You get to see Molly Patterson as well.
Yep.
She's a star.
Been fantastic this year.
So you get to see her play. She's having a really good year for the Eagles. So Should be exciting day. Big weekend of footy, I reckon.
A massive weekend. Another game just to touch on. I know we won't be out there, but Mulgrave Reserve, another big game between Eastern Devils and South Croydon. We've seen plenty of good ones over the years, including last year's grand final.
Is that a 12:30 or a 10:40?
It's a 10:40 game.
Okay.
And then the Devils second side will play Mitchum at 12:40. I think they're playing for the Joe Cox Cup as well, down there at Mulgrave Reserve. And South Croydon, obviously, crucial win against the Hawks last week. Their percentage is not as strong as both the Devils and Baronia. So, just in terms of points, they really need to keep winning. And they got them earlier on in the season. Interesting to see if Shelley Beggs plays or not. Not 100% sure.
I think it had to be if she doesn't play this week at the Prem side. I think it would have to be due to a milestone
that she played last week. Kicked 4 goals.
It's pretty weird seeing her playing Premier team, even though she's been in the Div 3 reserve side pretty much predominantly in the whole week. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, we'll find out what happens there, of course. And other than that, there's a whole lot to discuss tomorrow in the weekend recovery, weekend forecast, should I say?
Will they?
And we'll just allude to this that we didn't get this up this week, but looking to get the mailbag, Blake's mailbag next week. So tell us what this is about and what are we...
If you watch the footy show, it's kind of like a little bit of a copyright of that, but footy show's not allowed. So
that's right, we copyright it. We copy everything here.
Well, the fairness is probably in another show. So, but just send in Ryan or myself if I can get on the socials. Little intern sort of job there. It's If you can, I'll put up something on the socials just saying, Blake's mailbag to see.
And what do you want people to ask you questions? Or?
Yeah, just ask questions. You can rip into myself or Ryan.
Yeah.
I like it if you rip into Ryan. It'd be funny.
Or maybe. But you're probably the one firing more shots at the moment. Upper Gully and Surrey Park supporters.
I wouldn't say Surrey Park. But anyway, that's it. Yep.
Thanks for coming in again.
No worries.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of EFNL Insights. Big afternoon on Saturday. Senior women's match of the round out at Tormore Reserve, Baroni and Vermont, and then Heathmont Croydon for the senior men's match of the round live at 1:15 p.m. Radio Eastern 98.1 FM.